Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of NüVida Let's Talk. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 9 of NüVida Let's Talk. Today we are very happy to have Mitch as our guest. And Mitch, for those of you who don't really know you, do you kind of want to give a little background on what you do?
Absolutely. So I run an online fitness coaching company. Been doing it for the past 4 years. So started out bodybuilding, doing some really strict regimented, meal plans, training plans. It was very regimented and kind of just flowed into more of like a lifestyle program, being able to enjoy a few beers on the weekend with your friends, go out with the wife, the kids on the weekend, not have to worry about, eating certain foods that may have been deemed bad or whatever. So kind of just created a program that I felt that was much needed in the marketplace.
And how'd you stumble upon this, like even the love of fitness?
Yeah, it's a great question. For me, I grew up like playing sports like yourselves. I was playing competitive soccer for a number of years, played sports through high school, and as well as, elementary school. And it was just a passion of mine as well. So as I got older, my father actually passed away when I was 21. I got a phone call and they said, you need to come home right now. So I came home. My dad was on the floor, had a heart attack, 52.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. It was like 2 years had passed in between after that. And I was kind of just like bouncing back from things. Out of high school, I was actually a mechanic. I did automotive apprentice. And I hated it. I'm looking at these guys that are doing it and they're, crippled over. They got arthritis head to toe. And I'm like, I don't want this. And it just came to me one day. I'm like, I've loved fitness. I've always been active. Why can't I just do something with that, right? So I started looking into personal training, got some certifications, got your personal training certification, got the nutrition ones online, and go to the gyms, and they're telling me that I can't do nutrition training, and they're really strict on the way you do things there, and you don't get paid a lot of money. Yeah. And your hours are so sporadic. You're working early mornings, not too much during the day, late nights. There's no work-life balance, right? So then I was like, okay. I got into sales, was still building this business on the side. So it started in 2018. That's when I started building it. And it was just side hobby. Yeah. I was making $80 a month, if that, on a plan, and putting so much time and effort into it. I used to make actual physical books with a plan, and I would mail them out.
Wow.
No way.
And it cost me so much money, and I was losing.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Where does this entrepreneurial bug come from? Like, I feel like this is like a very entrepreneurial thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's funny. It kind of just came out of nowhere. I had a really good friend that I grew up with, and me and him had some ideas. We always kind of just came up with all these ideas, but never acted on them.
Yeah.
Right. And then he kind of got busy with things. He had a kid at a young age, and so he kind of ventured off in his own path, and I was kind of just stuck. I was doing my sales jobs, but I just wasn't happy. Mm-hmm. And I thought, why not? Why not just try it and see what happens? And at the very least, I can maybe change it one life, right? It took some time, I started, like I said, 2018 is when I started it. The first year, I think I lost money, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The second year, I lost even more money.
Yeah. And
in 2020, I probably invested 2 to 3 times more than I actually made. And a lot of people around me are like, dude, like, why are you doing this? Like, I had dumped all my money into it. Wasn't living a lavish life by any means. I was driving a beat up car. Didn't care about, having these nice flashy things. I'm just like, kind of like the Gary V mindset, right?
Yeah.
And he was a big influence for me going into it. Like, just put it out there, put out the value, put out the content, and just see what you can do. And
content.
More
content.
content. More content.
Content.
Right?
If you have time, you have time for content.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you have TikTok?
Get on TikTok, right? But that's exactly it, right? And that's what I started doing. And in 2021, I hired my first business coach. And that's when the needle shifted for me. Went from, in the year before, making like $2,000, which is not a lot by any stretch of the means. But I had spent way more than that in programs, in educational tools, and so many different things so I can provide a better service to my clients. So when I invested in this, I was really scared because it was a $10,000 investment.
Yeah, for the coach, the business coach. Yeah.
For mentoring, right?
That's huge though, because I feel like a lot of people, like, they don't make that click. Like, they'll be trying for years and years and years, but what we have to understand is that, like, there's people who are smarter than us who have done stuff that we want to do, and we just gotta educate ourselves.
Exactly. And there was some give and take, and I actually was talking with him, and then I said, no, I'm gonna hold off. And 3 months later, he reached out to me. He's like, where are you at? And I'm like, man, I'm worse off than I was when I talked to you at first. And I'm like, you know what, let's do it.
Yeah.
Right then and there, I just said, all right, let's do it. I sent him a down payment. We got started, and it was like completely life-changing because it showed me the framework I needed to do to be able to grow my business, right? And in that year, I 20x'd my income from the year before. And to me, that was just like a defining moment where I was like, I can actually do this, and not just part-time, but this can be a full-time thing for me and very lucrative, you know, and not just beyond the money, you know, making a huge impact on people.
Yeah. And do you think it's because the coach, like you had to go to those meetings, like you knew someone was holding you accountable, so you're like, okay, I can't show up and not have nothing done, or what kind of like sparked that?
No, because it was actually it was an open program. So the way they had designed it was in a Facebook group. There was like 1,200 coaches in there. They're all fitness coaches too, and you essentially just follow these guides. So there's no one.
Oh, really?
There's no one going to
teaching you.
Oh,
so
wow.
there's no mentor. It's just like here's the work.
They do like live videos. They do certain things like that. They had a ton of content and tools and a huge guide library, but there was no one saying, "Do your stuff today." Right?
Oh, that's interesting.
If you don't do it, you don't make money, but your payment still comes out every month.
Because personally, like I have a coach from my real estate investing stuff, and like I meet with them bi-weekly, like face to face. So the fact that like you know that's really cool. Like that you still had that kind of that fight, even though like you weren't really dealing with someone one by one.
Yeah. It was tough. I mean, like, the first 4 months was great. Then by month 5 and 6, I really started to burn out because I was still working full time, and I had 25 clients at a time. And man, I like burnt out so fast. And this is kind of when I pivoted my business because I wasn't so much what it is now, right? And that's kind of like the evolution of how, you know, the business evolved from something that was like eat 6 ounces of chicken, 100 grams of rice, right? To us now, it's more of like a macro coaching. There's more flexibility, you know, there's more creativity with your meals, with your approaches. So it's not like you're stuck doing push-pull legs and then you're eating chicken and rice all week.
How'd you figure that out? Like for like most people, like we're kind of stuck on this, as you said, like push pull legs, like this very tough schedule. Not tough schedule, but very original.
It's like cookie cutter.
It's
like
like
you do this, you gotta eat this much chicken.
then
You gotta.
Everyone's doing.
So
it,
how'd you
right?
figure it out that like how does this work and it's not the same as what everyone else is doing?
It's actually from the program that I was in. So there's 1,200 other coaches in there, and we would share feedback with each other. It became a community where, you know, you would kind of bounce things off each other, and getting to talk to another 1,200 other fitness coaches across the States and Canada, you know, brought a lot of ideas to you, and you kind of started to say, oh, why am I doing this when it could be like that, right? So I learned about macro coaching, learned about how to do, you know, programs that aren't so black and white.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's more of a gray
So it was that
area there.
network then that really helped you
100%.
like, change that
100%.
perspective and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I see on your Instagram, like you have like it's like you're a bartender. Like you make
Yeah.
some nice drinks, you make
Yeah.
some good meals. Like let's
Yeah.
like so you really like that then, like you like the like what you put into your body, the cooking, the making the drinks.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the cocktail thing, that's
I love
kinda
that.
funny because that started when the pandemic happened. So in 2020, when you
Stuck
know,
at home,
gyms are closed, and I was in a good state there health-wise. My health kind of plummeted in 2020, the end of 2021. So like November, December 2021, or 2020, sorry, and going into 2021, my testosterone levels dropped hard from bodybuilding. So, you know, using performance-enhancing drugs.
Yeah, PEDs.
You know, and beyond that, it was mostly dieting for the shows. So because COVID had happened, you're prepping for a show, you're 16 weeks out, then all of a sudden the show gets pushed. So then you maintain that level, and another 4 weeks go by, another 8 weeks go by, and you're still like shredded to the bone, eating barely any food. It does a number on your hormones, right? Add in PEDs on top of that, and it makes it so much worse. So my hormones dropped, and I was just like super depressed.
Yeah, your
like,
mental state probably took a heavy one, right? At that moment.
Like you're waking up in the morning, and you're going, I don't want to do anything. You know, like you're depressed. You have like no energy at all. So we're stuck at home. I'm like, I'm going to do something. I started drinking again.
Yeah.
Like just for fun, recreationally.
Yeah.
And started making these cocktails. And that's kind of where that started. So, I built a home bar, started just doing it for fun, having friends over.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how that started. Because I'm like, you know what, I can't go to the gym right now. And when I was working out, if I did one workout, I was sore for like 2 weeks. Like I couldn't recover from it, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of just stopped working out. I gained a ton of weight over like that last year. And that's when I was kind of like, how can I balance, enjoying social outings, having some good cocktails, eating good food, and staying fit, staying healthy, having a good mindset. And that's kind of how I formed into the Apex protocol, my coaching program.
Yeah,
right?
we really have a lot of questions about that. Like, what is the Apex protocol? Because we searched it up.
Yeah.
I couldn't, I found some things, but nothing that defined it.
Yeah, I guess you created this protocol, right?
It's 100% created by me.
Yeah, so I think that's why we can't Google it.
That's kind of dope. I think that's the dope part, right? Because I was looking, I was like, okay, I got to do some research on this guy. Like, what is the Apex protocol? What is it?
So the Apex, it's like a peak, the pinnacle, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm working with men that are, top tier men. Businessmen, guys that come in, they work hard, and they put it all on the floor. They are high level successful men, but their health is the one thing that gets on the back burner, right? You're in the office all day, or you're running a business. A lot of the times, your health can be the very first thing to slip up, right? And on top of that, it's really hard for these guys to maintain a schedule, because their schedule is all over the place and it's never consistent, right? So I came in with creating a solution for that. So the Apex protocol is essentially a protocol that I created to help these men, change their entire lifestyle without overhauling it. So allowing them to have that flexibility, creating something that's sustainable long-term, because I think that's the most important thing with fitness, is like, this is a long marathon, right? It's the rest of your life. If you want to stay healthy, it's the rest of your life. So do you see yourself eating chicken and rice every day for the rest of your life? Probably not. You're like, no, I want to have taco sometimes.
Yeah. When you put it like that, like, it's so right. Like, I didn't think about that, right? Like, it's like, yeah, you want to, like, the chicken and the rice, but, like, you're going to do that for the rest of your life?
No, I think that's that's what I like about, like, your protocol, because it's not cookie cutter. Like, I could, like, I've seen it. It's like steak tacos one day. You could have a burger, which people kind of shun away from, right? Like, carbs are a bad thing. A lot of people look at nowadays. Yeah. So what's your thoughts on that?
No, it's true. And, I mean, a lot of people hate on carbs when carbs are, like, your best friend with fitness. Like, honestly, you should be eating, like, most people, like most of my clients, on their macronutrient split, 50% carbs.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? And people are like, whoa, that's a lot of carbs. And I'm like, trust me. It's going to keep you full. You're going to have lots of energy, and you're not going to be craving things, right? So a lot of people go into that mistake when they go into a dieting phase. They'll either slash their calories like to a really low, unattainable number, and then maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks later, they're off the wagon, All of a sudden, they're binging food, and they're like, I can't stick to it. Oh, it's so hard. It's like, it's only hard because you're making it hard, right? There's a lot easier approach to this, but you gotta look at it logically. Like, if you're looking at doing something for an extended period of time, it should be something that's going to be easy to sustain. And if you're going with the path of least resistance, it's going to be a lot more enjoyable, right? Yeah. And that's the thing, is that people view fitness and they view dieting as there's a start and an end to it, right? And they're like, oh, it's just a phase. I'm just going to fast. I'm going to run every day. I'm going to cut out carbs, eat only vegetables, and I'm going to be shredded. I'm going to be great. But they learn really quickly that they can't sustain that, right? So that's where the sustainability comes into it. And it's like, no, you got to look at this as a bigger picture here. This is something that you got to do for the rest of your life. You got to enjoy it, right? It's not a prison sentence. Yeah. You're not sitting here forced to work out and doing something you hate. If you don't like lifting weights, that's fine. There's many other ways you can work out, right? If you don't like eating chicken and rice, that's fine. There's so many other food options. There's so many other carb sources instead of rice. You can use many different protein sources. You can season your chicken. God, some people need to learn how to have a little bit of flavor in your life, right? Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that people just come into it with this mindset that it's got to be difficult because dieting is hard and this and that. And it's not. It doesn't have to be that way. But everyone's so conditioned to believe that they don't even think about the possibility of, wow, you can have tacos and lose weight. You can eat pizza and still see, a new low on Monday after eating pizza and having a few beers on a Saturday. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
But it's strategic, right? And that's the thing, is people don't understand that there's, ways, there's strategies to achieve that. And it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
And are you finding that most of your clients, I guess, are going to you to put on muscle, to lose weight, or to maintain? Like, what is most of your population of clients, or everything?
When I first started, it was mostly guys looking to put on size. Problem with it that I ran into is that most of them are unrealistic, because they see guys on social media who are like, look at my before and after, but they don't account for Photoshop, they don't account for steroids, and they're like, I want to do this in 3 months. And I'm like, you can do that in 3 years. Especially with building muscle, it's a long process, and it's a lot harder than losing weight. Yeah. People don't understand that. Building muscle, like quality muscle, is really hard to do. You got to constantly be progressively overloading. You got to constantly be eating, and that's the biggest thing is eating lots of food. So when I started, we had a lot of guys wanting to put on muscle, but there wasn't as big of a market for it. And I felt better when I helped people lose weight. Like it's such a empowering feeling when you've helped someone, because it's different. Like, you can help you put on 10 pounds of muscle and you're going to feel great. You can have lots of confidence. You're going to be like, yeah, this is amazing. But when you help someone lose 75 pounds and they're a whole new entire person, like you see that shift in their eyes and their face, and you're like, wow, like they are so happy. It completely changes their life. And you're like, wow, like, now they're able to run around with their kids and help their kids grow up, play soccer with them when they're in their tournaments, do things like that than otherwise would have been sitting on the sidelines and watching. It's way deeper than just looking good.
And that's the one thing I think we preach the most, is that like being physically active is not to look good. Like people have that misconception. They want to look like, they want to have a 6-pack for vacation, or they want to have like big biceps and stuff like that. But when we think about it, it's more about the physiological things that help out.
100%.
Like it helps you digest more, sleep better, prevents. I went to school for at Queen's University for health and physical education. Mm-hmm. So like what I learned there is that it helps prevent like cardiovascular diseases, cancer. It helps prevent diabetes. Physical activity. Like if you can have one thing in a pill, it'd be exercise, and the whole world would be addicted to it.
That's a really good way of looking at it.
And also
it's true.
Yeah. What I've heard is like, especially your heart, right? Like how there's no real exercise you can really do for the heart other than like hard labor or like hard workouts. You know what I mean? You gotta push yourself to a certain extent, right? Because think about the heart; it's pushing your whole body, so it has to go so far. If that can't go further than what your body needs, at some point it's gonna croak, right?
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I think like we all kind of know that we are meant to move. Like humans are meant to move.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, so like it's like this whole like we hear a lot of things of like obviously like this body positivity, and you gotta accept all body types, but it's like we're meant to move. Like, you know what I mean? We're not saying you have to look a certain way. Yeah. But to be the healthiest, you need to move.
Exactly. And that's like, the body positivity thing is like, I have really mixed feelings on it. Like in one breath, it's like, I see, especially in women, the eating disorders that are so prevalent today because of, the image from society. And you get like, you open up Instagram and you're scrolling and it's like, it's all fake. And you get the ads on your TV, and it's overwhelming for a lot of women. So I totally understand. But at the same time, like when you're like health at all sizes and you're 500 pounds, and I'm like, going for a walk's not going to hurt though.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Straight up.
No.
But they're so against it, and they're like, oh, but exercise is like the devil, and it's like,
and then that's what I don't get. It's like they like exercise is not bad. It's not the enemy here. You know what I mean?
What do you think stopped us from moving? For example, like you see how like back in the day we used to chase animals. Like till we caught them.
You're not lying. Like obviously that's how we survived.
So then it's society, obviously. But what is the big factor in society that's kind of stopped us from wanting to be
distractions? 100%, man. 100%. I mean, I go home. What's stopping me from just hopping on the couch and watching Netflix? I could binge it. I can sit there and you know what I could do? I can open my phone. I can have burgers delivered to my door. I don't even have to get up anymore. They just drop it at my front porch, right? It's so easy and convenient, and that's the difference. It's like 100 years ago, you had to work for your food. You had to go hunt. You had to chop down trees. That's why the women are at home. They're, cooking, preparing, cleaning everything while you're going out there and killing stuff. And it's a very different lifestyle. And now there's so much convenience, right? It's all there for us. And it's easy to just kind of go, oh, well, I'm just going to sit down and, order some Uber Eats, and nothing wrong with that. But when it turns into like, a consistent habit, that's when you really start to spiral out. And I think that all these distractions that there are, whether it be social media, whether it be, TVs, whether it be whatever, it's overtaking people's lives, and they're giving into it, right?
Yeah. And like you said, like it's crazy because like before, like I guess food was like something like everyone was looking for. Now we have too much of it.
Surplus.
Like the poorest of people are sometimes the most obese.
Yeah.
Which is like a completely backwards world from what we were used to in the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very interesting.
I got a good one. How do you set boundaries? Because like you do online coaching, right?
Yeah.
So like for especially let's say we have someone out in BC and they want to message you when like you kind of need your downtime. How do you kind of set those boundaries with people?
I think even beyond business with boundaries, I think it's really important to be like always upfront and set the tone right away. Don't. If you have like something that bothers you and you're like, oh, I should say something, and you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna hold off and wait. No, you should always say that. Always, make sure that you're well aware, because if it happens once, it's gonna continue to happen, and then they're gonna go, oh, well, it was fine last week, but then now why are you giving me a hard time about it? But when you set that from the start, like for example, if a client wants to reach out to me, I'll say, hey, from right when they sign on, and they filled out the paperwork, they send me the payment, I go, hey, this is how it works. I will get back to you within 24 hours. I don't get back to you on Sundays. If you really need something, make sure you let me know it's urgent. I'll do my best to get back to you right away. But I'm not going to be responding right away instantly. And I'm not going to be taking random phone calls at any hour of the night, right? I have links. I will send you a link.
Is that something that slowly progressed though? Like at first,
Absolutely.
were you always picking up your phone, always texting, always?
And that's why I had to get to that, because like when I mentioned the burnout last year.
You had a horror story?
Oh man, yeah.
Can you tell us one?
Can
you tell us one if you have one?
Yeah, I did have a few. I had one client that would literally just randomly call me all the time, and it'd be like 8, 9 p.m. They were paying good, and at the time I was struggling. I wasn't making that much money, so like I'm not gonna turn away a client. They're paying me good money, and it's like it was tough because they're always calling, always texting, and it was like extremely needy. And I had to fire them. I had to fire them as a client. That was the first time the first and only time that I ever actually had to fire someone.
Wow.
And it was so weird because I knew that I needed the money, but it got to the point where I was like,
it's not worth it.
It's not worth it, right? And with the boundaries too, I mean, it was starting to affect my relationships. So my girlfriend's like, you're always on your phone, right? And you hear that all the time, but when it's like, I actually was always on my phone. Like we're sitting down watching a movie and I'm texting clients, or I'm building programs on my laptop, and I'm like or I'm writing social media posts, or I'm engaging with people on social medias. You have like LinkedIn, TikToks, Facebook, Instagram. It's a lot of notifications.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're constantly engaging in Messenger, especially when I'm selling a product or a service, online. That's what I have to do, right? I have a quota of certain messages I have to send out in a day with new people. I mean, you're building relationships, so like it's important that you're like, I don't want to just like reply back tomorrow and like drag out the conversation. I kind of want to make sure I'm on the ball with it. And all of a sudden you're like so focused on building these relationships in this virtual world that you forget about everything around you, right?
Yeah.
So for me, that was a wake-up call, because I'm like, well, this is starting to affect my relationships now, and I need to do some looking within and be like, okay, how can I change this so that it's not going to be affecting
And
my
it's crazy
relationship?
because like nowadays it's like this thing, a cell phone, like your business is on here, right? So it's like it's hard to keep that separation.
Yeah,
right?
and that's the thing, right? So I was actually debating on buying another phone for business, but what I actually did was I moved all my clients to a messaging app. So I have a personal app for my clients.
Oh, cool.
And then there's messaging within that now. So I have all my contact with my clients in that app. I can snooze it. I can turn the notifications off. So I'm no longer getting texts to my personal number, and I don't give it out to clients anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that was huge, because then they can't call me. There's no call feature
Yeah.
on that. So I'm not getting calls at 12 p.m.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was a huge step. And I think just like realizing, okay, like, this is what happened here. How can I learn from that and change that so it doesn't happen again?
And do you have a marketing background or anything? Because like I know like your social media is big, right? Like, it's like you have amazing posts, you have good posts, and like they all look creative. They all look like like there's a social media person doing it. Like how you doing it by yourself? You learn by yourself?
100% by myself, man. It's all me. It's all me, one man team. It really started with that first business coaching program I took, and they taught you how to market, how to write posts so that you can present yourself as the authority. And there's different ways, so it's kind of like a pain, problem, solution, kind of thing. So you want to give them the pain, all the problems that come from that, give them a vision of how that could be better, and then a solution to that, right? So you kind of lay out frameworks within your content to, make it appealing. Now this is something that I had to, constantly redefine, and still to this day, and as social media evolves, your marketing has to evolve too, right? So, last year, long written posts, doing amazing. People loved them. And then now, it's not so much. It's videos, because the attention span is just dwindling, right? Yeah. It's like the 7-second goldfish, right? You have and that 7 seconds is turned into 0.3, where you have, if you don't see the headline and like what you see, scroll. Jeez. Next post, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. No, go on.
No. Honestly, go first.
But that's kind of the thing, right? Is like you have literally like 0.3 seconds to capture someone's attention, and if the first things they see isn't enough, it's not enticing enough for them to click and read, they won't, and then your content is going to get buried. And how the algorithm works too is that, like, let's say like the first 10 people interact with it, however those interactions go, they'll we'll show it to another 100 people, or oh, you know what, only one person of those 10 liked it, push it down. Then no one sees it, right?
Yeah, no, my question was, like, you said you don't have a team under you, right? So how do you figure all this stuff out, like analytics? Like, do you put the research in on your own, or is like, how'd you kind of figure this out? Because like us as a business on our own, we're trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
So it's like how you figure
and
it out.
And like content also, if you could touch on it, like, do you do like a month before and then you have an app that automatically puts out the content, or?
There are apps for that, and I have tried a few of them. Just haven't found one that I actually like. So what I usually do is I'll batch create content, and I haven't done it in a while, but one of my favorite ways to do it is do a photo shoot. Get all your photos out. You look at them, and then you go, I have headlines here for this, and you kind of match the headlines to the photos. That is like the number one step, because I think regardless of the rest of the post, it's irrelevant. If no one looks at the headline in that photo and goes, I want to see the rest of this, I want to know what you're talking about, the rest of it doesn't matter, because no one's going to read it, right? So the main thing always focus on is the headlines in the photo or the video. Make sure that it's grabbing attention, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, that's when you kind of dive into the pain and the problems and solutions, right? Okay. So that's,
So like that thumbnail kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it's like the YouTube thing, right?
Yeah.
When you're like, and that's actually a really good point, is like, you have so little time to capture that, so you want to be able to, it's flashy, and the thing with that too, though, is that it's so overplayed that you still have to constantly redefine that. So you have to make sure that your headlines are like relevant to the problem that you're solving, right? So like, for example, if I have a guy that really wants to, enjoy pizza and lose weight, how my client XYZ lost 10 pounds eating pizza.
Yeah.
Oh,
the pain,
he lost weight eating pizza? How did he do that? Then they read the post.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that it's, connected.
And in a way, you're addressing your why as well. Like the reason why the Apex protocol exists is so it's a realistic plan. You know what I mean? Like so you're always pushing the why, like with the peaks and stuff like that. And like that's really cool, because I was reading this one book that's called what's it called again? It's called always like focus on the why or something like that. But the book was talking about the difference between like Apple and Microsoft, and how Microsoft kind of fell off on like just being like focusing on manipulation, which means like how they can generate the most money, where like Apple was like making iPods and making iTunes, and like just like always sticking to their why of being innovative. Yeah. So because they stuck to their why, they were able to, now we can clearly everyone almost has an iPhone, right? Yeah. So it's that's important, is that you always have to stick with your why. And I feel like at NüVida, like we're always adapting to try to make sure the why is always being shown, right?
Yeah, and that's why I say, like, back to it, we're not fitness influencers, we're advocators, right? Because that's what our why is, right? Why did we start? We wanted to get fit. We wanted us to change something, add value. So I want to advocate. You can do, if I can do it, you definitely can, because like I wasn't the perfect candidate to do it, but I learned to be. Everyone 100%. Else can also.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and like I was to build on that. Like I guess like our why kind of is like we said, we're meant to move. You know what I mean? So our why is everyone should be moving if you can. You know, of course, there's some people who have moving like limitations, or some people exercise actually isn't good for them, right? Because they have some conditions, right? But like if you can move like majority of people, then you should be moving, right? Whether that be walking, running, also opening up your perspective, like not being so closed-minded, right? Like
That's huge.
our aim is to bridge the gap between you and your maximum potential, right? So it's like us, like, and we're direct proof of it. Like, I don't know if you knew this, but like January 1st, I woke up so hungover at my job. I was laying down on the floor. I have a picture. I'm gonna post it 365 days after. I have a picture, me laying down hungover, and I was just like, yo, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing with my life? You know what I mean? Like, it's supposed to be a brand new year, and I'm out here waking up all fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, oh, great start to the year or whatever. And then from that point, I randomly on Instagram, I posted, I'm going to be working out every single day this year.
I saw that.
Yeah. And then it just started. And did I think about it twice? Like, no. Was it radical? Yes. I don't recommend it to anyone, right? But like, it was something that like, my why was like, yo, like I shouldn't be feeling like this. You know what I mean? And then it's 134 days today, this date. And it's just like, we're doing it. We're actually doing it. We're actually trying to change. It's changed my mental. It changed my physical. It changed the way I see things now, right? So it's like, that's what the brand's a lot about. What would your, like, I guess your company's why be? Like.
Yeah, what is AFG's why?
That's a great question. I mean, you know, like I said, my why started with, you know, my dad passing, and I think the core root of it all is just bettering people's lives. You know, bringing a balance to health so that you can enjoy your life. But it's all about, at the end of the day, the longevity of it, right? We need to be able to live a meaningful life and a life that you enjoy. But you need to something that's like, you know, your health needs to be a top priority, right? So for me, you know, I think that it's really important that your health is the forefront of all that. And even if it's not the biggest part of your life, it's what's going to keep you alive, right? So if your health isn't good, nothing else matters, right? So when people are so focused on that and they're like, oh, I need to be healthy, but I don't want to do this, that's why I do the things the way I do, is because it doesn't have to be like that, right? So there has to be some give and take with it. But, you know, being able to live a healthy life, being able to, you know, avoid things like diabetes, heart disease, you know, all those type of things, and enjoying it, I think is the most important thing of it. Because the other side of things, too, is like when my dad passed, and he was 52, I realized one thing. I was like, wow, like life is so short, you know, and you might as well spend it doing things that you love. And that can be taken two ways, right? A lot of people can take that and go, oh, well, screw it. I'm just going to go and do drugs and do all this, you know, all this extra stuff. And that's, you know, not quote unquote healthy or good for you. But they take that to the extreme, right? And then the other people would take that to the other extreme, like, oh, I got to live healthy. I got to, you know, be perfect. I'm going to go for a run every morning at 5 a.m. and I'm going to eat, you know, greens and only organic. And it's like so hyper focused, right? Where it's like a mesh of both. You know, I think that it's super important to be healthy. I think it's super important to have, you know, good mindset, to have all that, you know, health and wellness aspects to it. But I think at the end of the day, you need to love it. You need to enjoy it. Yeah. Right. So I think that for me, my why would be encompassing both of those things together to create something that is, you know, long-term sustainable.
Yeah. And I love that, honestly.
And you'd say that's the Apex protocol, right?
And that's what the Apex protocol is. Like that is literally what it is.
Yeah. And I love that because I feel like in fitness, it's either too much on the, I'm not doing nothing, like fitness is bad. And then, or it's either I'm a fitness freak and I'm going to, you know, like wake up 5 a.m., eat only greens and this and this and that. So the fact that you're making it like.
He's the midpoint.
Exactly. You're that midpoint. It aligns perfectly with what we're pushing too, because it's health. That's wellness is most important.
And that's the thing, man. Like, you know, I'd be at the office eating a chocolate bar. Yeah. Wow, Mitch, I've never seen you eat a chocolate bar. I'm like, dude, just because I'm like working out doesn't mean I don't enjoy chocolate or candy or anything like that too. I'm human, just like everyone else. Yeah. I think a lot of people get that idea where they're like, oh, if you're into fitness, you must be a fitness freak. Yeah. You just go in fasted runs every day. And, you know, it's like, no, it's not like that. It doesn't have to be like that. Yeah. And if it is, that's fine. But it's got to be something that you enjoy and that's, you know, that works for you. Yeah. Right. And for me, that wasn't it. And I learned that through bodybuilding. Is like I loved it. I loved growing the muscle. I loved posing. I loved doing all that type of stuff. But for me, I realized it just didn't jive. Yeah. Right? I got to a certain point after, you know, preparing for a show, and I was like in the off season for like 2 years because I had to put on a lot of size. And by the time the show was canceled in 2020, and I just went off the rails. You know, I binged so much food. I probably spent thousands of dollars on Skip the Dishes in a couple months. Yeah. You know, just because I'm like, I haven't had this in forever. Oh, this is there. I'm gonna get that too, right? And for me, it went from like one side to the other, really quickly. And that's when I was like, okay, like, how can we balance this? How can we bring like, balance to the world and have both these things? So why does it have to be so hard?
So in a way, like you kind of lived through both things.
100%.
Like in a way, you were like, I'm fitness.
I was there, man.
Only there. And then in a way, you're like, hey, like I'm just gonna eat whatever I want, and then you had to balance the both. So that's sick, man.
I was the guy that it was 46 minutes past my workout, and I didn't have my meal in, and I was freaking out. Like my anabolic window is shrinking. I'm gonna lose all my gains. I'm gonna be small again. And yeah, I was there, man. I was 100% there, and like so focused on like I had my meals timed every day. I knew exactly what time I was gonna eat. You go to the microwave 5 minutes earlier so you can get it in at time. Like, it was really strict on it, and it turned into that. And I was like, once I kind of took a step back from it, because you're so immersed in it in the moment, right? You kind of take a step back and you're like, is this what I really want though? Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. I still love bodybuilding. Yeah. And there's cool bodybuilders like Greg Doucette. That guy.
Shout out David. David loves Greg Doucette.
Greg is who put me on.
Yeah. He's awesome. He's awesome. And if you have his cookbooks and stuff, this dude's eating ice cream.
What about your
popcorn.
cookbook? You have a cookbook that's coming out,
I have a cookbook.
Right? Yeah, he has a cookbook coming out.
I do. I have actually have 3 published ones, and I have
NüVida.
one that I'm building right now. But the one I'm building right now is gonna be my favorite because this one is gonna be all fun foods, man. It's like nachos, burgers, it's chicken nuggets, tacos, like it's all the fun stuff. Yeah. But made, macro friendly, made to be healthier, low calorie, high protein, right? Whatever you want to say. It's fun foods, but it's doing it smart, right? And it still tastes great. And that's the other side of things too, is because I think a lot of people hear that, they go, oh, like low calorie sauce is like, nah, it tastes like shit, right? Yeah. I'm like, I get that, and I tried them. I know a lot of them are really bad. Yeah. But it's just getting creative with it, and it kind of like with the cocktails thing we were talking about and cooking. It's like I grew up cooking. I love cooking, so it's fun to kind of get creative with things and go, how can I kind of do this but make it higher in protein and less fats? Like for example, I have a double Whopper burger on my cookbook that I've made.
Double Whopper.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to love Burger King. Growing up, I loved it. I went to school at John Paul II. Yeah. Across the street from us, you had the Whopper Wednesdays, right? So for $5, you go there, you get 2 burgers, and you crush them on your lunch, come back, and it was nostalgic, right? I loved it. But I'm like, how can I recreate that into something that's much, better for you?
What's cool is that like you're not just attacking like the fitness and working out with clients. Mm-hmm. Like you're also like creating these recipe books. Like you're really attacking both sides of this problem, right? Yeah. Which I think is very respectable, and I think it's like why you have the following you have.
I think also too is you're a life coach, right? Like as like I talk to you more and more, it's like you don't really just involve yourself in the fitness aspect of their life. You want to give them advice on how to eat. You also care about their mental health, right? Because it's something you went through, right? So 100%. Like you're not just
that's different because a lot of people just focus on like, yo, push that rep, coach, get that done, like keep on going, and then okay, I'll see you next week at the gym. Right? Where it's like you have more of that connection. Yeah.
And I think it's important to realize, like I said earlier, like we're all human, right? You're gonna wake up some days and you're gonna be pissed at the world. You're gonna have a shitty day, and you have to realize that that's fine. That's normal, right? And having things in place to kind of mitigate that, having protocols for stress management, having positive things you could do, like say for like, and a lot of guys, even myself, when I heard this the first time, I was like, I'm not doing that. But like affirmations,
powerful statements like I am. So real.
I am statements, it's huge, right? So like I have a diary, and every morning when I get up, it's one of the first things I do. I don't open my phone. I don't do anything because I find that when you open your phone first thing in the morning, it's the go-to because a lot of people set their alarms in their phones, and I do too. But I turn it off, put it down, walk away, because you start opening that and it's just flooded with negativity, and then it turns your day you're now into a reactive state, right? You're reacting to everything you see. Oh, there's bombings in the Ukraine. This is going on. This is happening here. Roe versus Wade. Whatever you want to look at, there's so much negativity, and you're like, wow, like
I'm negative.
Now you're just thinking about it. You're reacting to everything, right? Whereas if you put that down, you start focusing on yourself. 5-10 minutes in the morning. You take that time to go write some I am statements. Write down 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for in your life. I'm telling you, your perspective is going to be so much different. You do that for 30 days, you're going to wake up going, wow, life's not so bad right now.
So that's some free game for our audience. So like, what's your morning like? 5 minutes.
Yeah, man. So wake up, I turn on my Nespresso machine, brew a cup of coffee. While I'm doing that, I let my dog outside, kind of just like wash my face and stuff like that. Grab my coffee, go to my desk, write down 5 affirmations, 3 to 5 things I'm grateful for. Then I like to take, a few minutes, just kind of reflect on, my past, the yesterday, my past week, and just kind of things, maybe situations that I've incurred with clients, with friends. Just what can I do to kind of improve what I've done? How can I be better in certain areas? And I think focusing on how you can improve, focusing on things you're grateful for, and kind of putting those statements out there into the world, saying, I'm going to do this. It sets your mind frame up to a point where you're looking for success, right? Yeah. And you're no longer like asking for it. You're going to take it. Yeah. And that's the difference, right?
And like what you said in regards to this is like, I guess, an average person. You get your alarm on, you either look at your phone for a little bit, you get ready, you go to work. Yeah. But you're actually putting aside some time for yourself.
And it doesn't have to be long.
Yeah.
It could be 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, it makes such a difference because, like I said, you're not reacting to things anymore. You're kind of taking control of that day, and you're going, I'm going to put myself in a positive mind frame before anything comes and fucks it up. Yeah. Right? Because things are going to get thrown at you. You're going to get a call from your boss. Oh, you got to do this. You got to come in early. And then you start reacting to it, and you're already in that reactive state. So you're going, okay, I got to do that. I got to do that. And by the time you know it, like, you're just all over the place. Yeah. When you take time to ground yourself, it totally changes.
Have you ever read the Miracle Morning?
No.
It's an amazing book. I definitely recommend it to everyone. But the Miracle Morning, it talks about that. It basically it looks like the most successful people in the world, and it summarizes their top 6 morning routines, and it puts it into one. And it's that. It's like I used to think affirmations were stupid too back in the day. I used to be like, oh, you talk to yourself in the mirror, and you're like, oh, like I am this. So stupid. But no, like I'm with you. Like I've been doing that ever since I read that book. Every morning, I'm telling myself that because it does have an effect on your subconscious. Yeah. And like your subconscious is something that knows your whole life, and it picks up to stuff that like you don't even want it to pick up, right? So like you want to keep on feeding it positive things. Yeah. So I respect that a lot, and it makes sense. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. And I think especially as entrepreneurs, you're doing something that hasn't been done in a way because you're creating something from scratch. So one thing you run into, and this is something that I've ran into, and I know a lot of other friends that have done similar things ran into, is you're going to have a lot of people telling you can't do it. Oh, yeah. You're going to have a lot of people doubting you. Or you can be like, say, someone asks about your goals or your business, and you kind of give them an explanation. They go, oh, like, that's a lot of work, though.
Yeah, I hate that.
I got a good one. I was telling, we were prepping for this podcast, essentially, right? But he's like, cares about your podcast. I said, you can say that now, but one day I'm going to be sitting beside somebody you listen to all the time. He's like, fairy dust. And I said, I love that. Like, for me personally, I'll take your negative energy and I'm going to use it to something, right? Because for me, it's like, that's why we're consistent, because one day I'm going to be sitting beside the person I want to be beside, right? Yeah. But you're going to be watching on the other side saying, I told him he wasn't going to do it. And you're the one eating at this point, right?
So true. Yeah. So true. I think doubt, and when people kind of pit against you or vote against you and kind of push you like that, a lot of people say take that negative energy and do a lot of things with it. But for me, it was a huge motivating factor, right? As you guys see in my Instagram posts and stuff, I had a really tough, upbringing. Yeah. I was down deep in drug addictions when I was a teenager. Yeah. Had a lot of stuff happening in my childhood, and I was not in a good place at all. Yeah. Right. And people are like, you're not doing that, bro. Like, that's not going to happen. And I was like soaking, I was like 132 pounds, soaking wet, maybe 150. Yeah. And I was like 6'2", 6'3". Yeah. Skinny as a rail. And I'm like, I'm going to start working out in bodybuilding. No, you're not. You're not going to put on any muscle.
That's crazy.
Look at you. You've been trying for a long time. And I'm like, come back 5 years later, 225 pounds. Jeez. Right? And they're like, wow, dude, how'd you do that? Yeah. You look great, man. Yeah. And the same guys start asking you for advice. So it's funny how that switches, right? And the same applies to business, to any kind of goal you have in life. Yeah. Right.
And it's funny because it's always going to seem like you weren't working hard to those people. Like, they're like, oh, like, it happened luckily, or like this and this and that. But like, little do they know, every day for the last 5 years, you've been working on yourself. Yeah. And then all of a sudden when you show up and you're a new person, it's new to them, but it's like, no, this has been me for a long time.
So true. Oh, it was easy for you because you had this and that in place. Yeah. It's like, you didn't see the early mornings. You didn't see the late nights. You didn't see, the 12-hour days that I put in. Yeah. And essentially like shunning out social groups because you're so focused on one goal, but they just see the highlight reel, right?
Yeah. And I feel like people put their own limitations on you. You know what I mean? So so for example, like if they'll be like, oh, you can't do that because they can't do that, and they could never see themselves doing that, so they're gonna just like speak whatever. Yeah. Right?
And that goes back to the mindset, right? It's like when you
feel like you can't do something, you project that, right?
Yeah.
And it's like that negative. It's like, you know, you always have like that, like the one aunt or something that's like, whoa, you think
Oh,
you can
I
do
got too
that?
many of those.
That
Yeah.
negative, it's like negative reinforcement almost.
Yeah.
Right? It's like they tell you that so that you can't do it, but it reinforces that they feel good that they can't do it also.
Because they're like, I couldn't do that,
so he can't either.
so he can't either. But if you did, they're gonna feel bad about themselves, right?
Yeah.
So that's why they want to keep you down. It's crabs in a bucket,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crabs in a bucket. You start crawling out, they pull you back down and try and climb up your back to get out.
Yeah.
It's 100% what it is.
And that's the most important reason why you have to hang out with people who think like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why when you hear like the surround yourself with 5 people, that is so huge, because when I started getting into my business, man, I cut out everyone.
You had to cut off a lot of people. Huh?
Like almost everyone.
Yeah.
For like 2
Yeah.
years, I stopped drinking for 2 years. I stopped hanging out with people, and yeah, it might have got a little lonely because I didn't have anyone, but like I was so focused on that goal. And then the good people will stay.
Oh yeah.
Right? The good people will stick around. And when you start doing things and you're in the right places, you start to meet the right people.
And you change people also, I found. It's
100%.
like even my friends who never, like me and him, for example, like me, like I used to I was really athletic growing up, right?
Yeah.
Huge gamer at the same time. Huge, like, for me, I'm a couch potato. All it took for me and him was like, I guess we said we're going to change our lives this year, right? I said I was going to run 1K a day every day. Didn't happen, right? Didn't happen. I'll be straight up. Him, he said he's going to work out every day, right? That was kind of like, I think, my take on it. Like, okay, you're going to do that. This is my challenge I'm going to put on myself.
Yeah.
I felt my challenge really quick, right? But what I've kind of found also is, like, there's kind of inner growth slowly with myself. It's like, I can't win every day, but I could win weekly,
Yeah.
right? And then one day, it was March. It was like, for me, it was March. I said to myself, it's like, you really got to change your life here. Like, right now, like, and for me, it was like, okay, March is my birthday month. So I said, I'm going to go crazy. Started doing Muay Thai every morning,
cool.
5 a.m. Woke up. That day that I finished, I literally messaged Ricardo. I'm like, listen, this is what I'm doing. I need you to come do it with me. And I said it to him.
I was like, yo, you're crazy. What do you
Yeah,
mean
he
5
said-
a.m. Muay Thai? Like,
And he said, I'm not doing that. I said, just show up tomorrow and you'll see. He did it. And we're May. We're 3 months in now. It's like,
Yeah.
it's radically changed myself because I understood that, like, the voice in my head is the person I don't want to be. The person that actually wants to change my life is the guy who wakes up at 5 a.m. That maybe my life sucks in that moment. After I'm done working, I'm the happiest guy ever. Like, remember, going back to what you said, is like, for example, if I don't wake up and go to the gym, I'll sleep until 6:30, no breakfast, no nothing. If I'm at the gym at 5 a.m., I come home, breakfast is done, coffee's done, my bag is packed, my dog's outside, done. Everything.
Yeah.
But if I don't go work out, that doesn't get done. And that's what I've learned. It's like,
and what I found even too is like I'm waking up like if I miss a 5 a.m. workout, I'm more tired at like 7:30.
Yeah.
Like I wake up groggy and I'm like, wait, what? You
Sets
know?
the tone, right?
Yeah.
Sets the tone for the day.
Literally.
And yeah, with the wins too, I think that's super important. That's what I teach a lot of my clients too, is compounding those wins, right? And keeping yourself in constant momentum moving forward, right? It's so easy to, like you said, you're like, oh, I slipped up and I was quick to fail. But that didn't stop you, right? And a lot of people just quit there. But you have to realize, like, there's ebbs and flows, right? It's going to come up, it's going to come down, but you got to always find a way to keep yourself in constant momentum moving forward. So, capitalizing on small wins, no matter how small it is, you got to celebrate the wins. You got to realize that, hey, I did that. This is great. And how can I keep doing this? How can I improve? And then always look to, better yourself in that aspect.
That's important because I used to have a problem with that, like giving myself like credit for wins.
Yeah,
I used to I'm the toughest critic on myself, and even now I'm the toughest critic. But like Coca actually has helped me realize that I have to celebrate my wins. You know what I mean? Because like being too tough on yourself is bad as well, right? So like I like that you said that because it's so important. Like even if you said you're gonna work out today and you go for a 15-minute walk,
better than nothing.
Amazing.
I think that's why me and him contrast so well. It's like sometimes like I'll beat myself up where I don't want to do it, and he's like, "Let's go, let's get it done." After I'm the happiest guy ever.
Exactly.
Him, it's like he's not happy about what he did, but I'm like, bro, you did it, and that's why like it's the best contrast. It's like push me, I'll push you, and that's what that's why we work.
Yeah.
And that's cool. That's what I like about the workout thing. When I first seen you guys post about that working out every day, I was kind of like, it's a little toxic.
Good luck, bud. That's what you said.
I was like, I hope, first of all, I hope you're not doing strength training every day you are going to be so sore, you're never going to recover. But I was like, then I kind of seen it. I'm like, okay, it seems like there's more like flexibility with it, and that's the cool thing too. Is like, I had a client, for example, you guys talking about guys who had limitations, and this guy was like almost 400 pounds. Dude was massive, and I actually coached him for free because I felt bad, and I was like this guy needed to change. He had pretty much, his doctors were like, yo, if nothing happens, like
you're hitting the croak.
Yeah, like he was bad, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna give you some free coaching. It was very minimal coaching, but I'm like, we're gonna, get you on the right track here. And so this guy couldn't do much, but he could walk. So it started out with him just walking down he'd go to the elevator, take it down, he'd walk around his little complex, come back up. He would be winded, right? Gradually increase that, then now all of a sudden he's walking 1 kilometer, then he's walking 2 kilometers, right? And he's like, Mitch, like I can barely walk and stuff. And I'm like, hey, like look at how far you've come though. So you're patting yourself on the back for all these wins. Next thing you know, this dude lost like 50 plus pounds walking, right? And then now he can walk up and down his whole staircase, the stairwell in the apartment building up to the 8th floor, not get out of breath, right? And it's like, it's all these small wins that compound into one big win. It's like that we were talking about with business, like no one sees the behind the scenes. It's because you got to chip away at it constantly. Yeah. So every chip counts, because that turns into a crater, right? Yeah. And you're getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper every single time. It all adds up. Yeah. Without that one swing, you're not going to get that whole thing, right? Yeah. So it all adds up, and I think it's really important to kind of just slow down and like smell the flowers, so to speak. Remember that it's not a huge rush. Yeah. Remember that, hey, I did this today. That's amazing. I'm going to do this tomorrow. And you know what I mean? Like, that's why I like the sustainability approach of it. It's because it's like, if you set these, like it's good to set lofty goals. I think it's good to be scared by your goals. But also, if you actually want to achieve them, you need to set a plan that's
attainable,
realistic. Yeah. And like, it doesn't mean like, I'm going to downplay my goals and not shoot for the stars. It's like, no. The best way to do it is to reverse engineer it, right? So you want to, like, for example, say you want to make $10,000 a month, right? And you have a product. How can you turn that into $10,000 a month? So you have to do the back work from it. This is my goal. I need to sell X amount of products to get that. Okay, how can I sell the products? And you kind of just dive into that, right? And it's the same as anything else. Yeah. But I think that's really, really important to remember all the wins along the way, because that's what got you there, right? It's not one. There's not one thing that got you there. It's every little step that you've taken the whole way through. Yeah. Right.
And I guess like to touch on like the working out every single day, like I was saying, like I don't recommend it to everybody, but I don't lift up heavy weights. You know what I mean? Like it's just movement. Like you see it today, it was just a 1 kilometer dash. Anyone could do a 1 kilometer run. You know what I mean? Like, but the point is just like to keep myself moving for 365 days. And in all fairness, I was hungover as hell making that post, so like I just have to stick with it now. Already in it
for sure.
But walking, running, and like being this far into it now, like I kind of like I need to work out now. Yeah. Like it's more than a habit now. It's a part of me now, right? So it's like,
but it's also a cool opportunity because you use the word movement, right? And that changes it up, right? Because a lot of people will hear workout and they go lifting weights, heavy hard workout, 2 hours in the gym, and they're like, oh, that's insane, right? And so they get this like false conception of what it is. But when you go, okay, no, it's just movement, and like it totally changes the narrative now, because people are like, oh, like you're just going for like a walk today, and like you still hit some strength training workouts, and you're doing that, but like it's not like, balls to the wall every single day.
Exactly.
And then now people kind of realize, it's like an opportunity to like educate people.
It's almost like workout's a vulgar word in a way to some people, right? It's
100%.
like right? It's like
it's like diet, right?
Yeah, it's like diet.
Like, don't say that word.
Like, don't talk about that. But like I think that's maybe the better way we should approach it. It's like, let's move, right? Like we're made to move, right?
And that's like you guys were saying that earlier.
Lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
That's the best advice I ever heard. Don't call it a diet. Just lifestyle changes.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, like diet, it always implies there's a start and finish.
I think I like the most
lifestyle changes is exactly what it is.
I think what I like most about what you said overall today was just like longevity. You're doing this forever. You're not nobody wants to eat chicken and rice for like how long? For your rest of your life. So I like that idea. It's like I gotta adapt almost.
Exactly. And the funny thing is, I actually love chicken and rice. I do. I love it. Yeah. But I'll make it differently. I like lime and cilantro into it. Cook different ways. Season your chicken. A lot of guys are scared to season their chicken, right? Yeah. There's so many different ways you can do to enjoy it. And you can put some beans in there, throw it in a wrap, and you got a burrito. Yeah. People scared to eat burritos. I'm like, what's the difference, man? It's a few extra carbs from a wrap.
Yeah.
Right? You can pull a little bit of rice out. Calories are the same,
Literally.
right?
Yeah.
But people don't understand that, and
Yeah.
you know they're so like one track.
I saw this one picture. It was like a little like piece of unhealthy food and like a big salad with all these healthy things, and it was like which has more calories.
Both 80
right?
grams, right?
And the salad looked more appealing to me. You know what I mean? And they're
Yeah.
both like 80 grams,
Yeah.
right? So it's
Yeah.
it's like you said, it's like lifestyle changes, right? Lifestyle choices. At the end of the day, we all have atomic habits, like whether we're aware of them or whether we're not aware of them. We all have
Yeah.
habits, right? And we guys gotta keep on telling ourselves that like we want to be the best versions of ourselves. So those habits have to align with that, right?
100%.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, where do you see yourself? I guess in like a couple years, 3 years, like how big do you want to make
10-year
this?
plan.
That's
10-year
that's-
plan.
That's too far. Let's do a 5 year. 5 year.
5. So I definitely want to build my team.
Yeah.
Last year I had hired on like a virtual assistant, so they're helping me out with like my marketing outreach. Didn't end up working out, so I kind of fired them. But I do want to build a team. So I want to like on the back end of things, I want to have a team that can kind of do all my lead generation for me. I want to have a team that can kind of post my content for me. I would obviously have to write that because there's certain things that you can't outsource.
Yeah.
Right. And I can't give someone my mind and be like, hey, this is what I want you to do. Like that's gonna have to be me.
So you need marketing. So we could do this as a promo. You need a marketer. What else you need, Mitch?
Yeah, so that, but I ultimately what I want to do, like my goal for the company is I want to build a team of coaches so that it's a whole team. And I'd like to have a wide array of coaches. So I want to have one that's specialized in bodybuilding stuff. So we could do bodybuilding shows and prep people for that. I want to have one that's specialized with women. You know, I want to have one that's specialized with men. I want to have a really broad array of coaches because right now I'm tapping into one market, right? And the thing with marketing is that you can't be so broad. You have to be very specific, especially if you want to make money, right? So you have to dial in a problem and solve that problem. And it has to be as specific as possible. And the more specific it is, the better, because it's beyond, I help people lose 10 pounds. Well, anyone can do that. You can Google that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But deeper than that, what can you do? So if I can bring on a team of people that can target multiple audiences, multiple problems, you know, that's how I can build a company that's going to be, you know, a staple for a lot of people because it's no longer serving one specific customer, but it's serving a lot of people on a larger scale.
Yeah, like
right?
we all have different needs and we're all different like in regards to how we're built. So I get what you're saying. So like apply that Apex protocol but along different
everybody.
populations.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Genius.
Everybody. There's a
good.
need
That's
in
sick.
multiple ways, but I'll give you your want. I
Yeah.
got it for you.
Well, it's
Yeah.
it's the same protocol, but it's just like
For
it's
different
gonna be
groups.
worked for you,
Yeah.
tailored to you, like to your kind of group.
Yeah,
That's really
Exactly.
sick. Yeah.
And that's kind of the goal is I want to be able to do that. And I think it would be really cool to buy some property, you know, build up a gym.
A warehouse?
I think that would be a really cool end game goal for me. Have like a main warehouse or like office, whatever you want to call it, where you have, you know, a gym set up. I think it'd be really, really cool to do that and have a team work out of there or even have a team spread across North America. And then that's the beautiful thing about, you know, having the internet, having social media is that, you know, I can work with the best of people and not have to be directly right beside them. Right. So
Yeah, is
it
a lot
gives-
of your coaching online? Is
it's all online.
all online, eh? That's sick.
100%.
Yeah.
Last year, I helped a girl. She was in her 60s in Australia. Help her
way.
run a marathon.
Wow, bro.
So she
That's
was
amazing.
in her 60s, and this lady, so we had a 4-month program. She wanted to lose weight, build up, you know, cardiovascular, mostly it was strength building for her. She did a ton of cardio and just couldn't lose weight, right? So we helped her lose weight, build some strength, and with the end game goal is after the 4 months, she was going to run her marathon. Well, I think 3 months in, she sends me a text on a Sunday. And I look at it, and she's like, yeah, I just ran a marathon on my treadmill for fun. I was like, are you kidding me? This lady was an absolute beast.
Yeah.
Like, beast. I mean, I couldn't do that, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't run a marathon on a treadmill. On a treadmill?
Treadmill's
No,
hard.
yeah.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
sent me a photo of it. Because I
Jeez.
was like, are you...
Show me. the
Yeah.
magic.
I was like, that's a lot. Like,
Yeah.
are you talking about a full marathon? Or, like, she just sent me a picture of it. I was like, holy shit.
And how did she find out about you? Just
Social
online?
media, man.
So that's the
Crazy.
cool thing about it is like, you know, the way I do things is like you target people, you know, it's funny because like when you have a specific message, right, and you solve a certain problem and you kind of learn how to find these people,
To have that
right?
same problem.
Facebook groups, through following pages of people that they may look up to. You can kind of reverse that. So you go through their followers, you engage these people, add them.
Reverse
and you-
engineering.
Yeah,
back
you're
to-
reverse engineering it, right? So then you build up this list, and they'll follow you back, of course, because they look at your content. They go, wow, that's exactly what I need right now.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And like to them, they just stumbled upon you. This is amazing, but it's calculated.
Yeah.
I added you for a reason.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's planting those seeds, watering them, showing up and just, hey, how's it going? Oh, say you have a dog. Like, what kind of dog is it? It's awesome. Like, building genuine relationship. I think that's the main important thing.
That's how
too.
we met. I remember. It's like I remember I added you, and he reached out to me, and he's just like, and then that's kind of how our relation kind of built.
Yeah.
We
They
just
say
kinda
you need
started
like 5 to 7 interactions, like whether you look at their post
Yeah.
or whether you see their story, and then you hear them talk, and then
Yeah,
like, you
just
hear about their name somewhere else. Like you need 5 of those little clicks,
Yeah.
and then you can kind of.
And that's the thing, man. I think most people, they don't have like genuine interactions. They don't want to genuinely build a relationship. It's especially people like in the coaching space, because I've seen a lot of coaches out there. And when I was even bodybuilding, I got a lot of messages from people that want to coach you and stuff. And people are very direct right to it. There's no personality with that. And people forget that social media is meant to be social.
Yeah.
You're meant to talk to people, but it's funny because you message some people and they're like, people get their walls up. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
don't message me, man.
Yeah.
You're like, what are you doing? It's almost
Yeah.
like when you call someone now, right?
Yeah.
And you're like calling
Why are
someone.
you calling me?
Like,
Just
why,
text me.
why are you calling me, man? Like,
Yeah.
why didn't you just text me? This is weird, right? But it's the thing. People forget that. We're meant to be social. We're meant to have that interaction, right? But when you do talk to these people and you have that genuine relationship with someone, like they really like you and they really start to like grow that, because like, wow, like not too many people care. Like you maybe you remember something, then you follow up with them, like, hey, like how did that go for you? And they're like, wow, this guy remembered. Like that's amazing, and like it means a lot to them, right? And they don't get that from other people. So when you do that, when you act with integrity and being genuine, I think that it really comes back to you. And going into it with the mindset of, hey, I'm not looking to get money out of this. I just want to build a relationship. And like, yeah, of course, the end goal is to get people to sign up for your coaching program. But when you're adding these people and talking to them, you can't have that in the back of your mind, because it's going down a dark road that you don't. And that's when you start to get frustrated and upset.
Exactly.
You're
You
not
have
meeting
that
your goals.
reaction.
Kind of.
Yeah,
And then by not focusing on the money, like you're proving that you're focusing on your why.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
your why is to change someone's life,
And help
which is
someone,
why you're
right?
talking to them.
And
right?
that's why, when I'm talking to people and maybe they can't afford to invest in my coaching. The Apex protocol is not cheap, and I'm not afraid to say that because I know the value that it brings.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And people like get on a phone call with me and I tell them the price and they're like, wow, it's a lot more than I thought.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it is. I know. And they're kind of like, oh, like I thought you'd maybe offer me a deal. I'm like, no, man, like the price is what it is.
You gotta know your
right?
worth, right? And
But-
you know your worth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And once you know that and you can be confident in that, I think it changes the game, because a lot of guys see that and they're like, well, for example, if you want to buy a car, you have it for a specific reason. You want to like race a car. Some guy's got a Lamborghini, another guy's got a Honda Civic. They both get you at point A to point B, but it's very different, right?
Yeah.
Very different.
The reds.
It's the same idea, right? Like, you want the Honda, you can go get a cookie cutter plan from Joe Blow down the street.
yeah.
It'll get you there, but in 6 months, you're going to call me up when you gain that weight back,
Yeah.
because it's not sustainable. And that's the problem. You can lose weight with following a multitude of methods, but if it's not sustainable to you, I guarantee you 9 out of 10 times, you will gain that back.
Yeah.
True.
You will undo your results because it's not a long-term solution. And people are so focused on the quick fixes nowadays, right? So when you get into those keto diets, skinny teas, all this BS, like marketing ploys that are out there, right? And it's like, it's all quick fixes, man. Like, lose 30 pounds in 1 month.
No
Yeah.
chance. No
Dude,
chance.
you know how unhealthy that is?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, do you even understand how bad that is for you?
Yeah.
Like, or the people that are doing I seen one on TikTok yesterday. This lady's like, I only eat fruit. It's the fruit diet.
Jeez.
I was like, are you serious? And I commented
You're a
on
rabbit?
it. I was like, I really hope this isn't for weight loss.
Yeah.
Like, there's a better way to do this. And
Yeah.
she's like, oh, don't worry, I'm consulting a dietitian, and I eat a quarter cup of almonds every day too. I'm like, oh, that's really gonna help with your protein goal. Like, it's just like, it's ridiculous. Like, the people just, and whether it's not even just with weight loss or health and fitness, but like in business, in life. One thing I noticed is like a lot of people are so eager to like put themselves in a vulnerable position to make themselves look better, right? That might be going into debt to finance a car that they don't really need or don't need to, but they want to look a certain way. So they'll go into debt and they'll have monthly payments in this car they don't need, but they're still renting a house. They're behind in their credit card bills. They barely have any money. They're not investing any money.
Just a front.
And it's all a front, right? Flashy things, right? They want to just look and appear good, but realistically, it's way different behind the scenes.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's important because a lot of people want that quick fix. They want to look a certain way, but they don't want to put the work in.
Yeah.
Right? They just want it.
Yeah.
And people have that expectation that it's almost like I deserve to have this simply because I'm existing. It's like, no, man, you got to work for it.
Yeah. What are this kind of a I guess a random question, but what are your thoughts on the Liver King? Have you heard of it?
Yo, is it real? Because, like, for me personally, I got a real big opinion on this. I don't think it's real. And the reason I don't think it's real is, like, there's a guy, have you followed Carnivore MD?
I think I've seen this guy.
So he says he follows the same diet as Liver King, but he adds fruit. But if you look at their both compositions of body, it's significantly different. Muscle mass, everything.
Yeah, well, Liver King's taking steroids.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's
That's all I
the
wanted.
difference.
That's all I wanted.
There you go.
I mean, this dude is like juiced to the gills. You
Yeah.
look at him, he is so inflamed. His skin is like red.
Yeah, literally.
If he is like, and he's really puffy, and so you get that look in a lot of guys that are taking, any kind of steroids, especially like testosterones or like things like Deca, these kind of bulking steroids, because you hold water. So you look at him and he's huge. He's got abs, but you don't see many striations. He's really like puffy and watery, but he's fucking jacked. He's totally taking steroids. And you see Joe Rogan
yeah.
had talked about it.
Well, have you heard of Derek from More Plates, More Dates?
Oh yeah, of course.
He's a guy that I've been following for a long time. I put my buddy Brandon on, and like it's him because he's an endocrinologist, and what
Yeah.
he usually does, he breaks everyone down. So he broke Liver King down,
Yes,
right? And it
yeah.
was, I'm sitting there listening. That's why I'm kind of like, I ask other people what their opinions on, because I'm pretty biased. I don't believe it.
I was just listening to the Logan Paul
The Impulsive.
podcast. The podcast
just
with Logan
got
Paul
together
and Liver King. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Liver King was being very well spoken. In the sense of like what he was saying, but like I said, like it's so hard to believe that he's not on steroids.
Because he's a businessman.
Yeah, that's
And a lot of
true.
people are forgetting this. It's like this guy, it's funny because he's fooling everyone. He's playing everyone for the fool, man. Honestly, he is exploiting it because he's going, yeah, I eat liver, I eat this, and sure, he might. He
Yeah.
probably does eat that.
Yeah.
The guy's a freak.
Yeah.
But the difference is he's got these ancestral tenets. My supplement companies, the 7 tenets,
Yeah.
right? So he's pushing this. You want to live like the 7 tenets? Just take my supplements here. Keep my code link in bio, right? It's all
Yeah.
a ploy to push his supplement.
There's something
company.
attached to it. It's just not a
there's
lifestyle,
a reason for
right?
it. Yeah, it's not
And like
him
you said,
showing.
it's not long. Like you can't be eating like that for your whole life. Who can
No.
afford that diet? Like who can even?
No one can afford that. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting,
nuts for breakfast all day.
dude. Like he's eating like
Like testicle, just raw.
Yeah,
raw
Like,
testicle. Like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
I know it's 2022 and all, but like that's pretty gay. like, it's just so out there, right? He's eating hearts, livers, all this
Yeah.
thing, and he's just like, he wants to be like the simulated hunt. That one gets me because he's like, I want to do a simulated hunt. We're gonna do a simulated hunt today. But if he doesn't kill anything, he doesn't eat the next day.
Yeah.
As if your body somehow goes, you didn't kill your food, so if you don't eat it the next day, you're not gonna get jacked. Like, no, it doesn't work like that, man.
Yeah.
Like it's so far. Like he stretches truths so far and like bends facts, and then like wants to be like, but this is the way. This is the way. But it's like you have no science to back that.
Yeah.
You know, there's no science.
And he addresses everyone
proving-
as primal.
yeah.
It's so funny.
Here, primal brothers. Like, come
Yeah.
on, man. Like he's so out there. And I'm like, man, I don't understand. But the truth of it is, it's all a marketing ploy.
Yeah.
People see that and they get pissed. They're like, this is bullshit, blah, blah. The commenting, his engagement is all of a
True,
sudden
that's what it
he's
is, the
going
algorithm.
viral on TikToks. You know, people are talking about him. You got More Plates, More Dates. He's on Joe Rogan. This guy is laughing all the way to the bank.
True.
100%. He doesn't care. And that's why he's not going to admit it, because more people are going to keep talking about it.
Yeah.
Keep talking about it. It's like that bad publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, there's no bad
Right?
publicity technically, right?
And that's what it is, man. People are getting all worked up about it.
Yeah.
And I do too. He gets me, man. He gets
As a
me.
coach,
He
right?
pisses
You
me
should.
off, right? Because you see that and you're like, he's just spreading misinformation, right? But it's because he's trying to get money.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to his companies, right? So you got the ancestral tenants, right? I think there's 7 of them.
Yeah, he has
And
a lot of
He
companies,
got
yeah.
a
And
there's
some-
a
he sells
supplement for every
shakes,
single
yeah.
one, right? He's got it thought out. He honestly, his marketing is so good.
Yeah.
And that's why everyone's getting mad about it. But he's sitting back going, yeah, motherfuckers.
We're talking about. Well, remember, we literally gave him a 5-minute segment right now. We just talked about it.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the
It's
thing.
working. It's working.
We're talking about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
People watching are probably like, wow, this is crazy. I'm gonna go look this up right now.
who's
And they're gonna go watch
Exactly.
his
People are
videos.
gonna literally listen to this and be like, "Who's Liver King?"
Right? Title, yeah.
This and Liver King. That's what we're gonna
And that's
put.
the thing. You post that on title, and people are gonna see that like, oh, let's watch this.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just like it's one of those things where you get people hooked, and that's the cool thing about marketing, though, right? You hit that sweet spot, and you can take it a far way, but I don't think that's the right way to do it.
Yeah.
Personally, I wouldn't do it that way because that's not authentic to who I am. But this guy's, he's obviously like a shyster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any morals when it comes to that. Because he's selling bullshit products. So it's not like he's got this superiority. Like he's just trying to get as much money as he can.
Yeah.
Right. And obviously the dude's loaded. He's talking about going on primal hunts and stuff, and then he's gonna hop on his jet and go to New York. What's primal about that, bro? Get walking.
Literally.
You know what I mean?
True. What's primal about that?
Why don't you hop on the back of a horse and ride all the way there? You want to say that you are that? Stick to it all the way through.
Authentic.
He won't.
That's facts.
Authentic.
That's
That's
facts.
authentic, right?
Look at it. He's filming these videos in his kitchen that's bigger than most people's homes.
True.
You know? Like, dude, you're
Go
not
in a cave.
primal. You're not primal, dog. You're sleeping in, like, silk satin sheets. Like, bro, come on. You're so full of it, right? But he
Facts.
puts it on with his food. And because it's so in your face because he's eating organs,
Yeah.
people just forget about everything else.
Yeah, well, it's true. Like, I would never eat that. Like, I looked at it and, like, I've eaten heart, but I've eaten heart cooked. I'm not eating heart that's raw.
What cooked heart are you eating?
Like, I was in Nicaragua, so it was kind of cool. So, like, my family, we own farms, right? So we butchered a cow, and I was with my uncle. He's like, see the heart? Chopped it up, and then he put it on, and literally gives me a cube. He's like, eat this. It's like, it's a heart. I don't really want to eat heart, but, like, he's like, eat it. So, you know, it's like, so ancestral tendons. Here I go.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, I just ate it. It was chewy as hell. Didn't taste that good. Give me a prime rib or like a sirloin. That's what I want.
That's the thing, man. These people, what gets me is they'll put like some little sea salt and like a little dash of maple syrup. And, like, it's so good.
Yeah.
Like, bro, it's not so good.
That's
okay?
true. All you need to add is honey and sugar, they say, or
Yeah,
salt.
sweet and sugar. Well, sweet and salty, right?
Yeah.
Like, nah, you are full of shit. It's
Hey.
disgusting. The texture would be, for me, would be like, nah.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
I'm not eating.
Hey,
I'm not
boys
eating
in the
nuts.
back, you guys have any questions for Mitch that we want to kind of finish off with? Yeah.
Hey,
So,
you want to swap in?
yeah. Yo, come in.
Swap in. Swap in.
So, one of our producers.
Yeah, this is one of our big bodybuilder guys.
What's up, guys? What's up? Hello.
Producer Dave.
Making my debut. So my first question is the affirmations. Is that something that you build into your programs? Do you get your clients to do that?
Actually, yeah, I have. So some of them won't do it, and that's fine. I don't force it on anyone, but it's like heavily recommended. So I'm like, in my opinion, I think that it's very important to have your mindset in the right place, especially when you're going on a fitness journey. Because, well, for example, actually, this is a great example. I have a client right now, and he is struggling because he has a really low metabolism. So I've been telling him from the start, you got to get your calories up. And I had him up at like a maintenance level. We were kind of reverse dieting him. And he wouldn't eat it. He wouldn't eat that much. Oh, it's too much food. I can't eat that much. He's eating like 1,600 calories. I'm like, bro, we need to get you up higher. Like, we need to. I'm telling you right now, because when we get down deeper into, your cut phase, you're going to have nowhere to pull from, and you're going to be starving. And then all of a sudden, you're at 1,200 calories. You're not losing weight. And we're going to have to redo this whole thing again. We have to get into a reverse dieting cycle. So with this guy, he's not listening to me. And then all of a sudden, he stalled out. So for the past 3 weeks, he's been at the same weight. His body composition is changing, but he's so hyper-fixated on the weight. But if his mindset was in the right place and he understood that it's okay, you just got to go with the flow and trust the process, he wouldn't be so hung up on it. But he's like, in his check-in forms, he's like, yeah, nothing's changed. 181 again. And then he'd be like, yeah, I bought a new belt last week because my pants are falling down. I'm like, but your weight's the same and your pants are falling down because you're losing inches, right? But his mindset's not there. So I think it's super important. I had another client that I implemented the affirmations with, and this guy totally changed his mindset. Like he went from like being super depressed, like no ambition or anything, and like now he got a promotion in his job because he's showing up every day with energy. He's like, you know what, I can do that. I'm not, not putting those self-limiting beliefs on himself anymore. Those I am statements are so powerful because you start to like really like visualize that and kind of like believe that.
Plant it in your subconscious.
Yeah. And that's what happens when you're always telling yourself you can't do it. You can't. You can. You won't. Right? Tell yourself you will for a month, And I'm telling you right now, it's going to change the way you look at it, right? So I absolutely do implement that, and not everyone will take that, and because they're like, this isn't fitness, and they kind of like get loose with it. But the guys that do make way more progress in and out of the gym.
Which I figured that would be like a result in implementing something like that. So was that a suggestion by someone in the group, or was that something fully implemented by you?
So when I was in the coaching group, like my business coaching group, they did that with us. That's why they taught us to do that as business owners. And I'm like, why can't I just tell my clients to do this too? So I took a lot of the stuff that I was taught to do and kind of just shift that to my clients. I had to adjust it, of course, because a lot of it's business focused, but it still applies. You know, I think for anyone, I think it's very beneficial for you. So
nice.
Yeah.
That business course, if you are allowed to say how much, or if you want to say how much did it cost to buy into that?
So I think it was around 10,000. But he has two different programs now. He has the monthly one, which is called, they changed the program a little bit, and I think it's $400 US a month, so $500 a month now. But you can also buy like bigger packages, because like I think you have to sign up for a year. So that's like
multiple by 12 essentially, whatever.
Yeah, whatever that is, and then plus
so
conversion
like
fees.
5,800 around there plus.
Yeah. So that's kind of what it is. But I was with him for a year, and I kind of just dropped him, to be honest with you, because like I said, it was a group program. So like, first of all, you have 1,200 other coaches seeing the same shit you are, and as nice as it is to have a community of these people and kind of get feedback from each other, you're also my direct competition. You know what I mean? So there is like that competitive side of me comes out a little bit, where I'm like, you get your back up because you're like, there's people in there stealing your content. I had a lot of that. I had people steal my transformation programs or photos. And that was one thing that set me off, because I seen someone using that, and I was like, not today. I did this. Not today, man. Yeah, me and my client put the work in, like, and you're trying to take advantage of that and make money off that? Like, no. So now I use all my transformation programs. I always put my logo on it, so you can't change it, and no one can steal it. But so I ended up leaving the program because I had some struggles. I wanted to change who I was targeting, and they pretty much were like, oh, like, how's your morning routine? I'm like, it's great, but like, I need help here. And they're like, yeah, just focus on your mindset. And I'm like, no, dude, like, I paid you a lot of money to help me out here, and I'm not getting the help I need, so I fired him. And I actually had to pay out the rest of my contract. It kind of sucked. I had to pay out like $2,000.
Kind of outgrew the program.
Washed my hands of it. And then I hired a new coach, a new business mentor. And
but you learn from that, right, though? It's like, like, it kind of taught you, like, even though, like, kind of follow through with what you did, right? Like, even though you didn't get everything out of it, you kind of had to close the contract out and kind of keep going, right?
Exactly.
Take your losses.
Yeah. And it was a learning opportunity for me. Got the next coach, and it kind of changed the game for me.
So you currently have a coach right now, like a business coach?
It was a business mentor. Me and him are kind of like loosely working together now.
Yeah. It's
not so much like when I first got it, it's actually 2 to 1. So there's 2 mentors and to me. So we would get on video calls. It was like nothing like the first program. Like they were helping me build. They helped me build the Apex protocol. Cool. Right. And these guys they're huge marketers down in the States. They have, like, I think they both have 12 years of experience in marketing between, like, each individually.
You want to shout them out?
Yeah, one guy's name's Devin Dillard, and the other guy is John Buckley. So they're down in the States. They only deal with real estate investor coaches now.
Cool. That's my alleyway. My eyes lit up there.
I noticed that you guys do that stuff. So he helps real estate investors open a coaching business. So to teach other people how to invest in real estate.
Cool.
And like, I'm talking like complexes, like big money,
multifamily,
right?
huge,
like multifamily. So
Yeah.
that's what he does. He still works with me loosely, but
great connection, right?
Yeah, I haven't had to like really rely on him too much since I kind of shifted things. More so when I get into paid advertising, that's when I'm going to do a lot of help, because right now I'm all organic. So once we get into paid ads, they got a lot of experience with that. That's when I'm going to have to go back and be like, hey, we need to get this rolling again, right? So right now it's kind of just like pretty much just doing my own thing. But I have learned the skills from both programs. I know what I need to do. So I have all the tools available to me. And ultimately it's up to me to continue to doing that, right? So until I get paid ads in, that's when you turn something on, and it's like a water faucet where you can turn the tap and get as much flow as you want or back off, right? So you can kind of control your business more that way when you have it all dialed in. But to get to that point, you have to have everything so formulated. Like, you have to know who you're targeting, you know, like what kind of jobs they do, what they do with their spouses. Are they married? Are they single? If
That's
they have
specific,
kids.
eh?
You gotta be so specific, because your messaging has to be crystal clear when you're doing ads. Because if it costs you $900 to get a client to sign in, you got to make sure that's on point, or else you're going to be burning through money really quickly, right? And you got to do testing phases where you're essentially going, here's $1,000, light it on fire. That's what it is. There's no other way to test the market than just by putting it out there, right? So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the coaches right now. Cool. But I'll probably get down there, you know, by the end of the year. I'm hoping that's what I want to do that.
Nice.
So do you have any like college background when it comes to the personal training side of things, or university, or is it just all from the personal training certifications?
Yeah, no, I didn't do any college for it. No university. I think it would be awesome to go back. I think, you know, doing like a kinesiology course or something like that would be really cool. But no, man, I did some online courses like precision nutrition. I did that one. Did a few of the other ones, like the personal training one. And I just try and always, you know, follow studies, learn as much as I can. I think that's the most important thing, is just I like to learn from other people that are like doing the similar things I do. Like Lane Norton. That guy's a genius, right? I love his content. I have a lot of his books at home. I read those type of things. I prefer that because it's more in line with what I'm doing. You know, it's hard for me to go and read or take, you know, courses that are out there when they're teaching you black and white ways to do things, and I'm doing something that's completely different, right? So
like you're self-educating yourself, but like tailored to what you want to kind of do.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Cool.
Yeah. So I kind of like, you know, reading those type of books, looking into that kind of thing, and kind of just forming my own opinion from it. And just, you know, like when I first started out, like I would coach people for free just for the experience. You know, like I knew like, hey man, I just want to get my feet wet. You know, like some of my friends, like, hey, I'll coach you for free. I just want to get good at this. So, you know, you test it, you find out what works, find out different scientific terms, and like how to apply that within, you know, like reverse dieting, for example. Like, you know, like a lot of people hear that, like, what the fuck is that? It's like you're raising your calories up to like your maintenance, you know, so that you can eat more food while staying lean, right? Or kind of getting yourself out of a dieting phase. But like,
yeah, I've never heard of that, to be honest.
Yeah,
I'll be straight up. I've never heard of reverse dieting.
It's pretty popular in bodybuilding because like after you're done a show, you know, you've been essentially like restricting your calories for such a long time. You got like, you go on stage getting like super shredded, right? So if you come out of the show and go back to what you were doing before, you blow up, right? And it can be really unhealthy. Like you can gain a ton of weight really quickly. You know, it's really bad for you. So what you want to do, like properly, to get out of a show is you want to reverse diet. And it's really hard for a lot of people because you slowly raise up your calories, right? And, you know, you may stay around the same body composition. You may gain a little bit of weight, but it's the idea is building up your metabolism. So it's a metabolic building in a sense. And I actually do this with every single client when they first come on to me, because a lot of people undereat, right? A lot of people that want to lose weight, that are like constantly trying to lose weight, undereat, and people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, they got fat. Like, how did they get fat under eating? It's like, no, it's because they're doing all these things like keto, intermittent fasting. They're heavily restricting their calories, and their metabolism just tanks. And now all of a sudden they're eating 1,500 calories a day and they're gaining weight. And they're going, what's going on?
True.
It's like, you need to focus on building your metabolism before you fucking go into a dieting phase, because you're never going to get anywhere.
I think that's the first time I've actually understood like the wrong reasons to like do the keto diet, as because like, and then like it's so short term. Like you've explained that really good.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, when I tell people when they sign on with me, I'm like, you may gain weight in the first 2-3 weeks. Mitch, I hired you to help me lose weight. Like, that's not. I'm like, yeah, but you got to trust the process, because if we start right now and go into a huge deficit, we'll pull and pull and pull, but you're eventually gonna plateau, right? And what are we gonna do then? Increase cardio, pull calories even more? You're gonna be starving yourself. You're gonna have no energy. You're gonna feel like shit, and that's when you're gonna fall off. It's gotta be sustainable. So the goal, the way I look at weight loss, is a game, and the game is, how can I eat as much food as possible while still losing weight? Because ultimately that should be the goal. Eat as much food. And most people are like, I got to eat less. It's like, no, you want to eat more. It may be more volume, right? You know, using low calorie options and having more volume on your plate so you can eat more food and feel full, or just literally eating more calories by using things like, you know, reverse dieting to build up your metabolism so now you can diet on a higher calorie range. Cool. You know? So it's calculated approach, because a lot of people just go straight into it, and then all of a sudden they're like, I plateaued. What do I do now? And they're stuck, and they're like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing it right, but I'm not losing it. I don't know what to do. And they're banging their head off the wall. It's like, well, you got to, prepare for it before you kind of go into that deficit, right? It's a budget.
Yeah.
Two more. You mentioned gear earlier. Are you currently on gear, and did you do it only for a bodybuilding perspective?
I am not.
Haven't in at least a year and a half, 2 years. I did, after my show, run like tests, just like at like a low dose for a while, because
To pick back up. Oh.
well, it doesn't. You think so, but it doesn't work that way, because it doesn't matter how much you're taking. It'll shut down your natural production, no matter what. So a lot of people are like, oh, it's gonna get it back up, but then you come off it, it's still tanked, right? So you got to do like a post cycle therapy.
So like TRT, right? Like, did you have
That's
to
the
go
thing,
through that at
but
all?
TRT is lifetime.
Yeah.
So like if you go into TRT, that's for the rest of your life. You don't stop, right? Because you're essentially replacing your natural testosterone synthetically. You're, instead of being like, okay, my body is going to produce this amount of testosterone, you're injecting it instead, and your body will shut down production. So it doesn't, like, you'll have to take it for the rest of your life.
Okay.
So what I wanted to do was avoid that. And so when my levels shot down, I instinctively was like, I'm gonna run TRT at first, because I'm like, you feel like shit, you're scared, I'm like, this is crazy. And then I was like, no, like, I'm like, I don't want to be stabbing myself every week for the rest of my life. Like, it's not fun, man. Like, like injecting yourself is with a needle like that long.
Yeah.
Dude, it sucks, right? And you're like, I don't want to be doing this all the time. So that's when I was like, okay, how can I get rid of this? So using like PCT, I had to see an endocrinologist myself and kind of monitor my blood work, make sure that it's going back up, because like your estrogen gets too high and your test goes too low, and it's all imbalanced, right? So you have to bring that back. But
Cool.
That's dope, man. Honestly, thank you for sharing that.
no, I'm open book. But when I did run it, it was for bodybuilding. So at first I was like, I'm going to do this naturally, I'm going to have fun with it. And then it's like that thing, you see everyone. I was at, Regan Grimes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was at his gym, Flexplex, back before he moved to the new gym. Everyone there was like massive, right?
Yeah, I
and they're
bet.
talking about it, and he's like, yeah, this is awesome. Oh, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it. And I just started doing it, and it was honestly, it was exhilarating. It was like, I don't want to advocate for anyone to do it because there's so many risks for it, but you feel like Superman. You know what I mean? Like, you can lift so much more weight, you recover so much faster, and you just like, you blow up with muscle, right?
Yeah.
And your muscles feel so full, you feel like you always have a pump. It's how it gets addicting for a lot of guys, because they're like, if they come off cycle,
It's like a confidence
and
thing,
they
right?
look so
You crash.
like so much less, and
Yeah.
they're like, no, I gotta stay on.
Yeah.
So that's how it becomes a toxic thing in bodybuilding, was guys will cycle year round, those blasting crews, right? Where it's like, no, you gotta come off. And when I say come off, like, you need to come off for the same amount of time you were on for, if not more. But no one wants to be off for 4+ months or half the year when they can be on all year round at different doses and just look amazing, right?
Yeah.
But it catches up with you. And that's the toxic thing about it. And you see a lot of bodybuilders dying.
Yeah, right now.
People want to
especially.
talk about, a lot of people are trying to say it's one thing or the other. It's like, the one thing that's changed is steroid use. Back in the golden era, guys like the Schwarzeneggers and all them, they weren't taking crazy amounts of things. They would take like tests, they take a little bit of Deca, maybe some D-ball, right?
At most.
Now we got all these steroids that were like never meant before, like,
Oh yeah, you see guys like Nick Walker now, like walking around at 300 pounds, like ripped 300 pounds, and he's 5'7" or 5'8". Like, it's
100%.
ridiculous.
And also too, you just see like the vascularity of their veins. Like, they really don't have any more space to go at that point, right? Which is scary.
He's got those varicose veins all down his legs.
Yeah, like old,
too,
like
right?
old people though, right?
And
That's
they look-
normally in old people, right?
It's nasty. And like, dude, like, you're like one, but he'll say he's healthy. He's got doctors looking at him.
Jeez.
He may, and that's fine. But I'm not. It's not healthy.
not
If
proper
you look
circulation.
at his transformation, like where he was before, he put on way too much size. He's young.
Yeah,
He's
he's
like
younger than all of
26.
us, I'm pretty sure.
He's like 26.
28, I think I was.
28? He's either way. He's a young guy, and like within a 4-year span, this dude like went from like not winning pro shows to being top 5 at the Olympia. You know what I mean? Like, quick. It's like quick rise is a quick fall. And that's the way I look at it too. Is like,
True.
I got a good question. How is it like you as a coach? Like, do you kind of stay away from people who are on PEDs, or is it something you kind of like you can kind of understand, have some empathy because you've been there, right?
yeah, I won't coach anyone taking steroids anymore.
No, like like it's something you just don't do.
I
or?
won't do it. Personally, I just don't feel confident enough in it. Like it's there's so much more to it than just like setting cycles and stuff, and you have to have so much knowledge of like the human body that I just quite honestly don't have, and I can be the first to admit that, right? So I'm like, you know what? I'd rather just stick to what I know, and I will point you in the direction. I know a lot of guys that are really good at what they do with that, and they have like in-depth blood work. I would look at a blood lab, to be honest with you, and have no idea what I'm looking at, right?
Yeah.
And for me to take someone's life in my hands like that is not something I'm comfortable with. So I just kind of shy away from that. I'd be like, hey, if you want to do this and do it safely, I know some guys that could put you on the right track, but I don't want to endorse it or, you know, push people to that because, yeah, I know the side effects of it, and yeah.
I respect that. It's authentic as fuck, honestly.
Yeah, I don't want to be something that I'm not. You know what I mean?
For sure. That was a good question. Last one is this: when you were stage ready, like what would you say your percentage was at, body fat percentage estimate?
Well, I never got like fully stage ready because we didn't do peak weeks because the show kept getting pushed off.
Right.
But like definitely sub 10, you know?
Really sub
like,
10.
Yeah, and like even before that, like I was like, when I was like really skinny, I was probably like 10, 12 just naturally. Like I was like when I was natty. Like
At
like
what
that.
weight?
What weight? Yeah, what weight?
That was probably like 160, 170.
From what you're at now?
Yeah, that was like years ago.
That's crazy.
That was probably like 2017.
And then what weight were you for, like, if you were to have stepped on stage?
I probably would have stepped on stage around 185, 190. I'd imagine something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like it's a big difference.
Yeah.
You know, because when I started my cut at 16 weeks out, I was about 225, 230.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Because that's what, like, so I just started, well, I didn't just start, I'm 12 weeks in, like you've seen on Instagram there. But I was 226, like, natural. And my goal weight is 205. And you have a lot more mass on you. So, like, to just, like, think about, like, you at 185, like, that would be absurd.
Oh, it'd be nuts. And it's like, I was also trying to come in with the shreds because I didn't have a lot of size, which is like you said, like a big guy, but like coming on stage with some of these guys, like they're massive, right? And that's why the push for steroids is so big, because you're like, how am I going to do anything when this guy's looking huge and his delts are capped? So I got to make up for it with areas that I can bring in. So I had my strengths were my back, and I wanted to just come in like shredded as possible, right? So that was kind of my thought process behind it, because like some of these dudes are just like absolute freak of natures.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and
genetics comboed with steroids. It's like insane.
And that's
Deadly
the thing
mix.
is like their bodybuilders are a dime a dozen, right? There's so many of them, and so many of them look great. So if like you want to be actually competitive in it, like you really have to have that upper edge.
Yeah,
that
like
upper
stick
hand.
out in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
It's tough.
Sweet.
Is that all your questions?
Yeah, I think that answers everything for
That's
what
awesome.
I had there.
So, well,
Yeah, I guess we can honestly conclude there. Like that,
Yeah.
this was a great interview, and thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And then I guess we need to the marathon. You want to address the marathon quickly?
Yeah, so
David, you want to touch on that?
yeah, this is a guy for so David, lead them in properly, please.
All right, so as you guys known on social media, we've been promoting that we're training for a marathon that's going to come up in September 17th. It's called That Damn Hill. What we've decided to do is to turn it into a little bit of a fundraiser, where we will be directing funds towards the Heart and Stroke Foundation. So collecting donations through a direct donation link that we'll have set up with a landing page for NüVida, and just support it along the way. This is a foundation that actually touches close to me there. My mom was born with a hole in her heart and has had a heart condition her entire life, 2 or 3 open heart surgeries throughout her lifetime too. And so something that we can give back to, and hopefully with an add towards that research goal for them there. So that will be getting set up, and something that we're going to be promoting from here on out until the marathon in September 17th, and that's when the link will close.
Yeah.
Love it.
Squad gonna be running for Mama Bear Claw.
Yeah. Well,
Let's do
listen, NüVida's running for hearts, right?
Yeah,
We're running for
exactly.
hearts this year.
And,
so
and yeah,
That's so cool.
thank you so much, honestly, for taking the time coming out here and talk to us. Like
The
we've
knowledge.
learned so much,
The
and I'm sure our
knowledge.
audience is gonna love it. And make sure you follow. You're gonna take over the week. You're gonna take over the week on our Instagram. We're gonna make sure
That'd be
people
great.
know who you are, and then they start following you. And
At this point, we'll be at Wednesday, right? Giveaways are already going to be there. So if you've already seen it, remember, like it, comment, subscribe. AFG over here, Mitch
Yeah.
Concannon. Thank you so much for everything you've done.
any last
Like,
words you have for everyone before we?
No, thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. It's cool to have bring the audience here, kind of mesh both of our audience together and just put out some good content for everyone.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you guys having me on the show. Thank you.
Sweet. And that concludes this episode. Thank you
Yeah.
everyone for watching, and make sure you like, subscribe, and share this to a friend who it's gonna be benefited.
Episode 9. Peace.
Bye.
Nice.
Thank you.